Hey guys, Musa here, and today I'm bringing you my Week 2 NFL Power Rankings. Now, without a further ado, let's get started. Now, kicking it off with the number 32 team, and I'm going to stay with the Carolina Panthers. I think that they did terribly against the Saints, losing 47 to 10. Their next game is against the Chargers. That's going to be most likely another loss. Honestly, they're not doing too well. But maybe they'll improve against the Chargers. I don't expect them to win, but maybe they'll do better. And to be honest, mm, well, it's gonna be very tough for them. Hopefully, Bryce Young can actually do something for the Panthers in this next game. Now, moving on to number 31, we got the Giants, who dropped after losing 28-6 to the Minnesota Vikings. They'll be taking on the Commanders in Washington next. And to be honest, the Giants, I did not expect them to lose, let alone lose like that to Sam Darnold and the Vikings. They did a very good job, and honestly, I'm very proud of the Vikings for how they took down the Giants. But in the end, it does. I think it does matter that the Giants, they should really be focusing more on their team. First of all, is gonna Daniel Jones gonna be your quarterback moving forward? And two, who will be on that team this offseason? Because they might be rebuilding this upcoming offseason. Now, moving on to the number 30 team, and I'm gonna choose the Washington Commanders. They just came off a loss in Tampa, 37-20. They're going up against the Giants. I think that's gonna be a toss-up game, so not really gonna be like that hyped for that game. But in the end, I mean, they're gonna be facing off with the Giants. It's gonna be probably either way it could go. Hopefully, Jaden Daniels can do better, and hopefully the same goes for Daniel Jones. But for right now, I'm thinking that the Commanders are not that well this year. Now moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders, who dropped after losing to the Chargers 22-10. And I'm thinking that their game against Baltimore is gonna be tough, and not only that, they might actually lose that game. But you never know. In the end, I think the Raiders have been doing a pretty decent job with Gardner Minshew at the quarterback position. And yeah, they're not going to be a Super Bowl team, let alone a playoff team, but it's still very early to say that. Now moving on to the Broncos, who just came off a loss to my Seattle Seahawks and will be taking on the Steelers, who beat the Falcons this week. I'm gonna say this. Bo Nix, you did a very good job. Your team still lost, but you did a relatively good job. Now, when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, yeah, I think that you might lose that game. I think Denver does not have it in them to beat the Steelers. I think it's going to come out for a Steelers win, whether it be Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. Now, finally, we have a team who ends up winning this week, and that is the Arizona Cardinals. They didn't win, but they went up in the rankings regardless. The Cardinals lost 28-34 to the Bills. Just from that fact alone and how badly the other teams did, I put the Cardinals up this high. Now, the question is, will the Cardinals continue to be a top team? Or better yet, will they start winning? No, they won't. Their next game against the Rams, it's going to be a very tough one, and I don't think that the Cardinals have it in them to beat the Rams. Now, moving on to the number 26 team, we got the New England Patriots taking a win from Cincinnati 16-10. And that's a very good win for Gerard Mayo. Now, they're going over to back home, and they're going to face off against the Seahawks. That is going to be a very interesting game. Geno Smith versus Jacoby Brissett. I highly doubt we'll be seeing Drake May, but you never know. Anything could happen. In the end, I think that this game's going to be very interesting, and I think that the New England Patriots will continue their, well, not their win streak. I don't think they will beat Seattle this week. It could happen, but I think that they could still go up the power rankings regardless. Now at 25, we got the Tennessee Titans, who just took an L from the Chicago Bears, 24-17. They'll be taking on the Jets at home. So this game, the the Bears, they really did decently. Although I did not like Caleb Williams' first start. He did not win that game. The Bears won that game. There is no way you can even say that Caleb Williams did anything remotely close to helping the Bears win. I think that was more of the defense and the Bear run game, because offensively, when it comes to the passing game, I don't think that anything was helping the Tennessee Titans that day. Now moving on to 24, we got the New Orleans Saints coming off a devastating win against the Carolina Panthers, 47-10. I'm gonna say this: the Saints uh just ran over some roadkill. That's what I can say about that. There's no way that you can basically say like the Panthers are equal to someone like the Cowboys, who they'll be facing next week. But like, it doesn't take away from the fact that they still won. And honestly, I think that they won't be a playoff team, but they'll be definitely contending for it. Now, here we go with the unexpected at number 23. We got the Minnesota Vikings coming off a win. Sorry, I almost said loss. 28-6 to the New York Giants, and we'll be taking on the 49ers at home. I think that 49ers game is going to be a loss, definitely. But disregarding that, they took down the Giants easily. I mean, wow. Like, how? How did they do that? Well, we obviously saw that the Minnesota Vikings, they did a very good job on offense and defense against the Giants. And to be honest, I think it was mostly Daniel Jones' doing, but disregarding that, they still took the win. Now on to the Atlanta Falcons, who just took an L from the Pittsburgh Steelers, 18-10. Not too bad of a loss, but they lost nonetheless. They'll be taking on the Eagles on Monday Night Football, and that will be most likely be a loss. But the Falcons, like, I'm not gonna put that much strain on them, because first of all, it's their first game with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. They got a potential backup that is their future in Michael Penix Jr. So if anything happens to Cousins, they'll be coming in. In the end, what do I think about the Falcons this year? I think that they're not going to make a playoff push. I think that they might, like, they're going to be there alongside the Buccaneers for that division title. But whoever does not win it will not make the playoffs. Now on to the Chicago Bears. We got them taking on the Houston Texans this upcoming week on Sunday Night Football, after coming up with a win on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans, 24-17. Now, what I think about this is that the Bears are pretty good, but Caleb Williams did not perform as good as he should have. He should perform better than that. And to be honest, the Bears are probably looking at him like, hey, why are you not performing? We literally replaced you with Justin Fields. And Justin Fields goes out and plays against the Atlanta Falcons and takes his team to a win. Why did you? Well, you did take us to a win, but why didn't you perform as well? That's what all Bears are thinking right now, because like, it's only one game. So let's see what happens against Houston, but this is not looking good for him at all. Up next at number 20, we got my Seattle Seahawks. Now, to be honest, Seattle winning against Denver, very good game. And then we get the Seahawks also going up to the Patriots home field in Gillette and this week. And honestly, I'm going to tell you this. I did not expect Seattle to beat Denver 20-26. Not at all. I thought they were going to lose, but that makes me happy that Seattle was able to prove me wrong. Hopefully, they can prove me wrong this week. If I say the Seahawks lose, I don't know. I'm still iffy on who will win and who will lose in that game. Up next, we got the Indianapolis Colts at the Green Bay Packers, and they came off a loss to the Houston Texans 29-27. They were still in that game heavily. So I'm not going to give them that much strain. But I think Anthony Richardson could have done a little bit better. In the end, it is what it is. I think the Packers game will be a loss for the Colts. I don't think they have it in them unless Jordan Love does not play. If Jordan Love does not play, which I'm not certain about his injury status after a knee injury, I think it was, on Friday Night Football in Sao Paulo. In the end, well, I'm going to tell you this. The Colts, they're going to be pretty decent, but not a playoff team. Now, moving on to the 18 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers come off a win 37-20 over the Commanders and will take on the Lions. This Bucs team is the same Bucs team we saw last year. The one making the playoffs, the one beating the Eagles in the playoffs, all that. I think that run will also happen again. It'll come down to the wire, whether it be the Falcons or the Bucs to win that division. But in the end, I think that either team could win it. And that the Saints and Panthers are just not in the race. Now moving on to the New York Jets at 17. They came off a loss on Monday Night Football 32-19 to the 49ers and are now going to be going to Tennessee to take on the Titans. I think that Aaron Rodgers has proven himself not to be the same guy he was back in the day. I think that this Aaron Rodgers will 100% will not be the ones leading the Jets to the playoffs. I think that the Jets will miss the playoffs with Rodgers completely healthy. I don't think that the Rodgers-led Jets will do anything this season other than win maybe a few more games. Now on to the number 16 Los Angeles Rams, and they come off a win over the Raiders 22-10 and will take on the Panthers in Charlotte. Now, when it comes to Justin Herbert and Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins and all those other guys in Los Angeles, I think that this is going to be a matchup where you're going to destroy Carolina. I think that these guys did such a good job that will happen this upcoming week. And to be honest, we might see it sooner rather than later. Up next, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who came off a loss 20-17 to the Miami Dolphins, and they're going to go up against Cleveland at home. Now they got an advantage that they're at home, and this is honestly the Cleveland Browns, led by Deshaun Watson, who are worse with Deshaun Watson. So I expect Deshaun to be benched for Jameis Winston at one point in the season because the losses are just going to be too much for them. So, but in the end, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars would do decently, and so would the Browns. Sorry, I almost said the Bears. But in the end, I think they'll do decently, and that will be a fun game to watch. Now, on to the one team, the Cleveland Browns. They're going to go up against Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville, like I just said, and they came off a loss, 30-17 over the Cowboys. Now, honestly, I'm not going to take it that much against them, but it's still a loss, and even if it is the Dallas, they still lost, and I think that they'll most likely be neck and neck with the Jaguars this upcoming game, just like I said, but we'll see. Now moving on to the LA Rams, and the LA Rams taking an L on Sunday Night Football, 26-20 over the Detroit Lions, and will be taking on the Cardinals on Sunday. I think that the LA Rams, they did a very good job, but in overtime, they just couldn't get the ball back. The defense just rippled. And to be honest, I think if that happens to them against the Cardinals might actually get a sneaky win against the LA Rams, and the LA Rams will drop to 0-2. But maybe that won't happen. I don't think it would, but it is always a possibility. Now on to the Cincinnati Bengals, who are taking on the Chiefs at home. Sorry, not at home, in Kansas City, and coming off a loss 16-10 over the Patriots. Well, we obviously know that that game's going to be interesting. The Chiefs and Bengals is always interesting. But let's talk about the Bengals. They did decently against the Patriots. I think that they could have done a little bit more. Obviously, they could have and should have. But in the end, I think that that game is mostly a hair, like one of the losses that maybe one of the 4 or 5 losses the Bengals will take this year. I still think that the Bengals are a playoff team. Now moving on to Pittsburgh, where we have the Steelers taking on the Falcons and winning 18-10 in Atlanta, and now we'll be headed to Denver after winning with Justin Fields at quarterback. He did not do a bad job, but he also didn't do a very good job. So in the end, like it's still 50-50 on whether Russ or Justin Fields. I think that for right now, stick with Justin Fields for the moment. If you want to start Russell Wilson next week, then sure, have at it. But if Russell Wilson fails, you know that now that you got Justin Fields who can do the job. Now on to the Green Bay Packers, will be taking on the Colts this Sunday, and who came off the first international game in Sao Paulo, the first one in Brazil, the first regular season one, against the Eagles, 29-34 loss, and a potential loss for Jordan Love. Now, I'm not very certain about Jordan Love's injury currently, but if it continues how it is, I think that we're going to be seeing a very different Packers team to the team that we saw back on Friday night. And do I have faith in Malik Willis? I do. I have a little faith in him. But in the end, I think that the Colts actually might be able to sneak a win out of the Green Bay Packers. Now, up next, we got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars and winning 20-17, while they'll be facing off against the Bills this Thursday night at home. Now, speaking of home games, before I get into the Dolphins game, horrific thing done by the Miami Gardens police, or at least these officers who I've seen the body cam footage. I did not support the police at that moment. Like, it was he said, she said until the body cam footage came out. I think that Tyreek Hill was definitely in the right and the police were in the wrong. But moving on to the game, the Dolphins did an amazing job on Sunday, and they will be doing an amazing job against the Bills. Now, will they be winning? Potentially. In the end, I think it really matters down to the defenses. Who is going to stop either Tua or Allen? Now, moving on to the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys coming off a win against the Cleveland Browns 33-17 and will be taking on the Saints at home. I think that the Cowboys will not only get a win, but will definitely contend for that position as the number one team in the NFC East. It'll be a toss-up between them and the Eagles, as always. But I don't think this Cowboys team is still good enough to make a playoff push. I think that they'll most likely fail again in the first round or in the second, one of the two. But in the end, I'm not trusting this Cowboys team in the playoffs, but I am trusting them in the regular season. Now on to the Buffalo Bills after taking on the Cardinals 28-34 and struggling at the beginning. They will be taking on the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Now, when it comes down to it, Allen, Cook, and all those receivers, Shakir and all that, they did a very good job against the Arizona Cardinals, and they will do a very good job against the Miami Dolphins. Now, it is a toss-up game. It could go either ways, but I'm feeling that the Bills have something in store for Tua, Tyreek, Jalen, and the rest of the Dolphins. Now, moving on to the Houston Texans. The Texans will be taking on the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football. After coming up with a win on Sunday in Indianapolis against the Colts 29-27. And to be honest, I think CJ Stroud will again prove why he's the starter in Houston and not Deshaun Watson, as we've seen the the Texans actually got better since getting rid of Watson, and that's honestly something. But in the end, I think that the Chicago Bears are going to be having a tough time against the Houston Texans. Now on to the Baltimore Ravens, coming off a loss to the Kansas City Chiefs on the kickoff Thursday night football game, and now we'll be going up against the Raiders on Sunday. Now, what do I think about this? I think that this is going to be an interesting game. Raiders Ravens is always an interesting game, but is the Baltimore Ravens ready to win? To be honest, they lost off of a toe. Sorry, Isaiah Likely. But in the end, I think that the Raiders and Ravens will most likely turn out and the Ravens win. But you never know. Anything could happen in football. Now on to the Detroit Lions, coming off a win over the Rams, and will take on the Bucks at home. I think that this is going to be an interesting game. Jared Goff and the Lions has been doing a very good job. The defense with Alex Allen Salone, Malcolm Rodriguez, and all those other guys have been doing a very good job. I think that this is going to be an interesting team to watch, and I think they might get another win up against the Bucks. Now, coming up at number 3, we got the Philadelphia Eagles taking down the Green Bay Packers 34-29 in Sao Paulo. Now they'll be going on to Monday Night Football against the Falcons. What do I think about this game? I think what's going to happen is that the Eagles are going to take down the Falcons with no hesitation. There's no chance. I think that the Falcons will 100% have a tough time, and to be honest, we might be seeing an Eagles 2-0 start for the season. Now on to number 2, and obviously it's the 49ers. They took down the Jets 32-19, and they'll be taking on the Vikings in Minnesota. I think that Brock Purdy and that offense will be doing just fine. The defense will be struggling a bit against that Sam Darnold Vikings offense. I still think it's going to be a Niners win regardless. I think that the offense will simply outscore the defense. Outscore the Vikings. That's what I meant. And to be honest, the Brock Purdy-led 49ers are still the team to beat in the NFC West. And of course, the defending Super Bowl champions stay number 1 after defeating the Ravens 20-27. The Kansas City Chiefs will be taking on the Bengals at home. So I'm expecting another win against Cincinnati, but Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Michael Hardman, and Xavier Worthy. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. This team has star after star after star, and I think they're going to just take down the Ravens, no hesitation. Alright, so that was it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Tweet me any video ideas. Also, tell me down in the comments below any new videos you would like me to do. Also, I want you to tell me who would you rank higher and who would you rank lower. Tell me down in the comments below. Now, like this video if you liked it, subscribe, and hit the notification if you want more videos. And I'll see you guys next time.